everybody. Hope you had a wonderful holiday. If you had a good Thanksgiving, that's awesome. If not, sorry, I hope Christmas is even better. But welcome to the stream. Today we're going to be talking about a good reason for permit red tape. What is that? How are there any good reasons? Mr. Darrell's going to talk about that here in a moment. But as always, let's get started with the regular programming for the episode. As always, we want to get $500 off your next Mallett building if you are a teacher, educator, military personnel, first responder, or healthcare worker, because we appreciate all the things you do for our community and how you help everyone in the community as well. So this is just our little way of being thankful for you and what you do. So $500 off your next Mallett building. Just let us know if this is one of your occupations. Now, $1,000 off if you comment cash on a live video just like this. This applies to the elite or signature building. Now, it is not for specials or promotional prices, which we have some new ones coming up. We'll show you those in a moment. But $1,000 off your next regularly priced Mallett building of the elite or signature category. And you can get $1,000 off just by commenting cash. Let your building specialist know that you did that, and they will make sure to apply your discount if it is applicable. Happy Monday, Mr. Tim. Thank you as always for tuning in. It is pretty rainy out there. Hopefully the weather's better in your area. I know here it's gloom and droom, but you know, it's a good day as always. Moving right along, where's Mallett? Even with the weather and any delays it may bring, we have 89 jobs going on this week. So we are up, let's see, 23 job locations from last week. We had 66 and now we're back up to 89. I told y'all it was just the holidays. But we have 68 in Louisiana, we have 19 again in Texas, and 2 happening in Mississippi. We're super proud about this, you guys. Look at this awesome map everywhere we're at. And like I said, 46 jobs in Louisiana. These clusters are just getting bigger and bigger, and there's more going on each and every day. Loving that. But check this out. This was a pain in the butt because there's so much going on. We have gutters going on in Ragley, Adis, Scioto, Church Point, DeQuincy. We have Forms in Scott, Hackberry, Boyce, Florine, plumbing in Youngsville, Manny, Church Point, Ragley, delivery in Cottonsport, Broussard, 2 to Denham Springs, Sulphur, Iowa, Kaplan, New Iberia, inspections in Sunset, Houma, St. Francisville, Schriever, Folsom, concrete going down in St. Amant, Boyce, Sunset. The list goes on. 2 in construction in Breaux Bridge. We have some in Folsom, Scott, New Iberia, finishers in Houma, Keithville, Sunset. Buildings on the ground ready for building in New Orleans and Rain. All this is going on just this week, you guys, and that's only in Louisiana. In Texas, we have 19 jobs going on. As you can see, we're in Florine, East Bernard, Crosby, Orange, Oakwood, Warren, Columbus, Shepherd, San Leon, Beaumont, Hampshire, Bider, and wherever you're at. If you're not on this list, what are you waiting for? Get on the list. It's an awesome place to be. We have a cool list of cool people, but your Mallett building can be going up just like these 89 different locations. That means 89 different people are beginning or continuing to have their Mallett building in production this week. Let's see. Black Friday shopping was a bust this year. Black Friday was a big bust this year. I didn't find any good deals. The Rival Christmas special is a great place to spend your extra Black Friday money on. I agree with that. Speaking of specials and what to spend money on, December Christmas specials and promotions, we got some good ones for you guys. We have, for $16.99, we have the Christmas Rival. Some would call it a Christmas miracle. I wouldn't go that far, but it's pretty dang close. This is going to be our neighborhood special, you guys. We're really trying to focus on subdivisions and neighborhoods and tight proximities. Hopefully these buildings fit to your area. To do that, we have a 20 by 40 by 12 Christmas Rival, we're calling it. Look how pretty that can look, you guys. This is a customer's building right here. There's some lights on it, all that. Just gorgeous building. But what comes in a Christmas Rival? I'm glad you asked. It's going to be 29 gauge metal, 4-on-12 roof pitch, 2 by 6 trusses, which are common flat trusses. 130 mile an hour wind rating. This is about the same as the Classic for wind rating alone. No uplift control though. The posts are going to go in the dirt or gravel. 3,000 PSI concrete, 2x8 headers. Not going to come with ground protection, but 2-year workmanship warranty and number 2 untreated generic lumber. Now I know what you're asking if you've been here for any amount of time. Tyler, that doesn't sound like the typical Mallett specs that we're used to, and you'd be correct. This little disclaimer here, I'm not sure if you can see it. The Rival series is built by Mallett, but not to the typical Mallett building standards. Now what that means, it's not that we're not building it to the quality standard that we're used to. By standards, we mean the typical Mallett specs. These, of course, as I mentioned, are not the usual specs of a classic building. But what that allows is for this price to be unbeatable, because for $16,999, it's going to cost a little bit more than that if you want to start upgrading these features. So to keep the price budget friendly and to keep it a true special price, got to move some things around. But it is not built to the Mallett building standards. For true Mallett quality, ask about our classic, signature, or elite buildings. That's going to be the huge step up, you guys. If uplift control is important to you, maybe consider a classic. If scissor trusses and 2x8 trusses are important to you with a 512 roof pitch, consider a classic. If 26 gauge metal and 4,000 PSI concrete is where you want to be, consider it upgrading or looking at a classic. All of these things, there's solutions that can be done if that's not something you're interested in. But on the flip side, if the classic or the elite's just not something you're feeling like you need, still feel free to talk to a building specialist, because this is what comes with the classic, and if you just need a really good building for a very good price, this is the place to start, you guys. And it's still built by the best builders in the country, and that's going to be Mallett Builders. So consider that. But for $16,999, guys, you get a 20 by 40 by 12 Christmas Rival building. How cool is that? Now, special number 2, 20 by 50. If you got a little bit bigger of a lot, a little bit more space to work with, this one might be perfect for you. And as Mr. Tim says, it's a good price for a basic storage building, you guys. It's hard to beat that. Now, same specs, just a bigger building. Now, keep in mind, again, for $20,999, you're getting a 20 by 50 by 12 building. That is only $21.25 per square foot. That is unheard of, you guys. Most homes themselves are going to be over the $100 a square foot, and that's not even considering any extra additional bells and whistles. But for $20,999, you get a 20 by 50 by 12 with still relatively good specs. Now, don't get me wrong, these aren't specs to shy at, but they're not a Mallett classic. We'll keep that in mind. But we'll compare those here shortly if you want a true side-by-side comparison. Now, however, keeping up with the Rival series, we've got a lot of new stuff popping into this series, you guys. The Rival has been kicking off hard. We've had so many calls about it, and that's why we keep pushing it, because we want to be sure to offer buildings at every range of budget. Now, for 30 by 30 by 12, $18,999, you guys, that's going to get you off with a basic Rival building. And as the disclaimer says, these are not Mallett standard buildings. These are Rival series buildings. So we're going to have, I don't want to say lower quality, because it's not that. It's just not up to the over-engineered quality of a typical Mallett building. So keep that in mind. Still engineered well, but not to what the Mallett standard typically is. And that's that's really the only difference aside from the price. So 30 by 30 by 12, $18,999, you guys. Just a little bit bigger, as always. 30 by 50 by 12 for $27,999, getting into a larger shop space here. And then for 40 by 60, $39,999. 3 great buildings for 3 amazing prices that you're not going to find anywhere else, and you can't have the best builders anywhere else put it together unless you call Mallett at 337-214-0428. That's the number. Give it a call. Trust me, you won't regret it, you guys. Now, Mallett Ambassador Club, today is the day. We're going to be texting round 1 of all of our ambassadors. We have to do this in phases because we have a lot of you guys and gals out there, and first off, we appreciate that, and you. But round 1 of our ambassador texts are going to go out today. If you don't get yours today, that means you're in round 2 or 3. So keep on the lookout for that. If you feel as if you should be in a round 1 and you're not, let me know. We can talk about that. It just happens to be where your name fell in the order of the list. Nothing against you or the quality of ambassador, because we all know you're amazing. Just round 1 is today. It's the first batch. That being said, be on the lookout for that information. And if you don't feel as if you'll be on the list for an ambassador, if you're just not sure if you are an ambassador or don't have an idea of what that means, let us know. Send us a message, comment on here, and however means of communication you need to get in touch with us, get in touch with us. Comment ambassador, and we will go ahead and send you the packet, the information, everything we have, and allow you to be part of the Mallett Ambassador Club. I'll let you know, the only caveat is you must have a Mallett building. So keep that in mind. You had to have bought a Mallett building. You can still have our referral program, you guys. If you still want to earn your referral check for sending us a customer, you don't need a building for that because that's a referral and we appreciate that. But if you want to have the ambassador perks, that's going to be something you have to have purchased a building for personally in the past. So keep that in mind. That's the one caveat to go from referrer to ambassador. And then of course we have some other perks and things of that nature that are involved in the whole program. But again, that's going out in the text here today. So keep an eye out for that. Now, the 5 red flags. As always, this is not to throw shade or talk trash. It is simply to allow you a best informed look at how to approach the decision-making process of finding the builder for your next building. Hopefully it's Mallett, but we understand. And as long as that's an educated decision you're making and you feel like you're doing the right thing with the right people, that's your choice. But we want to allow you to make that choice, and for that, we've put together the 5 red flags of things that you should consider when looking for your next builder. Now, years in business. Check how long they've been in business at the Secretary of State's website. This is big because nothing wrong with being somebody's first client, but consider years of experience, consider years in business, consider how long they've been doing what they say they've been doing, and use that as a considering factor. Here at Mallett, we've been around for over 27 years, and we're proud to say in those years we've helped over 25,000 clients get buildings on the ground. So that's our experience, that's our years in business. Again, you can check that at the Secretary of State's website. Now, licensure, this one's important, you guys. Ensure the company you're considering doing business with is actually a licensed business. Do this at the Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors, or the LSLBC as we say for short. This one is huge because you shouldn't be having somebody do business on your property unless they're an actual business. You want to make sure they have a license and they're legally able to do work as a contractor and legally put that building up, because say you get halfway through and they're reported or someone checks on their license and whatnot, the project could be shut down. Not only could it be shut down, you could be forced to take the building down in whatever phase of it that you're in. And that is expensive and time consuming. You don't want to have to build a building twice because someone wasn't upfront about their licensure. So keep this in mind when you're considering who you do business with. Now, speaking of things that they shouldn't be doing, contractor violations also can be checked at the LSLBC. I like to say if they'll break the law once, they'll probably break the law a second time, and you don't want to play with those odds when it comes to a $50,000, $60,000, whatever the price of your building is. You don't want to roll the dice on those odds, you guys, because handing over that size of a check and not knowing for certain that they're going to be back on your property with a completed product can be scary, and oftentimes we see it far too much. This happens, unfortunately, in our area as well, and that's something we do not like to see. And thankfully here at Mallett, in our 27 years, we have 0 contractor violations, and for that we're very proud. So, reviews on the BBB and Google. I could stand up here all day and talk till I'm blue in the face about how great Mallett is and all this and all that, and talk about us. But nothing really stands out as much as an honest customer review. And first and foremost, on the Better Business Bureau, we have an A+ rating, so we're in good standing with the Business Bureau. On top of that, between the ratings there and the reviews on Google, we have over 600 reviews, you guys. And that's people who have left honest opinions on how their experience has gone. Now, I wish I could sit here and say all 600 plus of those were phenomenal and raving reviews, but things happen, people have miscommunications, whatever the instance may be. But I will say this, with over 600 reviews, we have a 4.8 star rating on the BBB and Google collectively. So between that, that's over 600 people leaving phenomenal reviews claiming their experience. So I challenge you to look at whoever you're considering doing business with, check their reviews, and not just the reviews, check Facebook comments, check the internet, just do your due diligence and see what people are saying. If someone is there complaining, now, it could just be someone who likes to complain, let's be honest, with a grain of salt there. But that's an experience that that person had. Take it how you will and use that as your deciding factor. If any builder is not licensed, bonded, and insured, and they're on your property, you as the property. That's a great thing to point out, Mr. Tim. Thank you very much. I missed over that. He let us know if a builder is not licensed, bonded, and insured, and they are on your property, you as the property owner are liable for any accidents or injuries, because these people do not have a business. They are not a limited liability company. They are not protected under a business. Anything that happens is responsible for you and your homeowner's insurance that you hopefully have if this is the case. And you don't want to be involved in that sort of incident because it could be very, very costly. Now, visit the contractor's facility, red flag number 5. Most people don't even have a facility, first off, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But as Mr. Trent likes to say, you don't want to be doing business at the passenger seat of somebody's truck. Everyone's got to start somewhere, but you would think if they're going to be into this business for the long haul, they'd at least have a simple location somewhere and be trying to get rooted in the area they plan to do business in. That's just my 2 cents. But here at Mallett, we have a phenomenal facility. I'm finding more rooms each and every day, to be honest with you. It's such a large facility. We have the state-of-the-art truss plant. We have the lasers, the cutters, the forms for the trusses themselves, the conveyor belt. We have everything happening there. You can check that out in the truss plant tour online. And we also have the holding area, the packing plant, the new roll form plant that is about to get a 200-foot extension, you guys. It was already massive, but they're about to add an additional 200 feet. It's going to be a true production plant in that side for the roll form, which means all the metal is going to be done in-house now. So your gutters, the metal work, anything that's metal, we'll be doing in-house now. So that is going to be a huge jump on internal quality control and production. And on top of that, it's probably going to get the cost down because we no longer have to order from a third party for the metal. So keeping that in mind, we'll be having all that happening here soon. Weather and the busyness of other customers' projects has been putting that off just a little bit, but it's coming along each and every day. They're adding more and more every day to be sure that plant comes out as soon as possible. And all that being said, that's not even everything. There's all the offices, there's all the spots where we work. There's this building here, this 3-story building that we're standing in that's made it through 16 hurricanes, I might add. But all of that together makes up the Mallett facility, and we would love for you to come visit it. We're right off the interstate I-10, and if you pass the interstate through Iowa, you've seen the building. The big green building, it says Mallett Buildings. It's hard to miss, right off the interstate. Stop on by. There's a great spot for you to park right in the front. Not much walking, unless you want to tour the property, then you can probably walk a little bit, so bring your running shoes. But we'd love to shake your hand, see you in person, and show you around because it's a phenomenal facility and we're very proud of it. Now, that being said, why Mallett? This is the comparison I was talking about earlier. So we have the specs of the Rival series we went over a little bit earlier. So let me read you the specs of the Classic. This is our entry-level building. So I want to show you the Rival is built to most industry standard post-frame buildings. What a lot of competitors like to do is around those specs as well. So we talked about that a little bit earlier. 29 gauge metal, 4-on-12 roof pitch, 2x6 trusses that are common flat, no uplift control, 3,000 PSI, 2x8 headers, a basic building. Here's the Mallett Classic, which is the classic building we've been building since day one and only improving on. But let me show you what our entry-level building looks like compared to the standard of other buildings. 26 gauge metal standard, which is stronger, more durable, lasts longer, 5-on-12 roof pitch, prettier, allows better shedding of water and debris, 2x8 scissor trusses, and it's not the 2x6 inner webbing, it is true 2x8 through and through on the entirety of the trusses. These trusses are also third-party inspected. You can find that video online as well. We had a great interview with the truss inspector, and he came and talked about what he looks for and why the quality is so important on everything we do here. All of that can be found. The link is in the description as we speak. Be sure to check that out, but that is a great informational video. He did a wonderful job. Thank you again for him sticking around to do that. But because of these 2x8 scissor trusses and 2x12 headers, the roof on our buildings have a 170-mile-an-hour wind rating. That's amazing. And speaking of wind, we have the Mallett cable lock system, you guys. That's going to be the 1/8 inch aircraft cable that spans post to post all the way around the building in all directions. And that's going to be tied together with eye bolts at the bottom of the base of the post. And on top of that, you're going to have a moisture barrier, and then you're going to have the concrete. In this case, you're going to have 4,000 PSI. And with the Classic, it's a 4-inch. With the Elite, it's a 6-inch slab. And it's going to be 4,000 PSI, which is 1,000 PSI more than the rival series and most competitors, which means that's about a 33% stronger slab as far as PSI is concerned. And then that aircraft cable is going to help prevent uplift. Say a door, window, anything like that gets damaged, and that wind's going to want to rush in and barrel up, forming almost like a parachute. It's going to want to take that building up. But this uplift control is going to keep that building held down because it has to take the weight of the slab and the building all together through that aircraft cable. And as far as we've been told, we've never lost a building with the Mallett cable lock system to a hurricane, and we're very proud about that. Now, 2x12 headers, I mentioned those. The concrete, of course, 4,000 PSI. Skirt board guards for ground protection. We start off with a 4-year workmanship warranty, which is twice the industry standard. Number 1, MCA ground-treated kiln-dried lumber. All that means is every piece of lumber is treated. So you're going to prevent termites, wood-destroying insects, things like that, as well as rot. Kiln-dried lumber also helps with preventing the termites and things of that nature, and also helps prevent swelling and warping of the boards because they're already dried out. This is going to also help prevent the help with the straightness of the boards and prolong the life of them as well. You're going to have your in-house engineer, who we're going to speak with in a moment. That's Mr. Darrell. And they go over all these designs themselves and make sure everything is to the Mallett standards, which again is far above the general standards that most people go off of. So all that being said, that's the Classic, our entry level, compared to the rival, which is based on the standards of most other people's builds. Now, keep that in mind when you're making your decision. The rival series is great because it's still built by Mallett. But for a true Mallett building, start with the Classic. Ask our building specialist about it, and they would be more than happy to give you a more in-depth comparison that fits your project. Now, speaking of comparison, we have our own building against our own building because the Classic and the Elite are both phenomenal, but the Elite is the top tier building here at Mallett. So to go over that very quickly, you just heard everything about the Classic. Let me give you a few key points I enjoy about the Mallett that make it, the Elite, that make it stand out just far above everything else. 2x8 scissor trusses are going to be spaced at 3-foot spacing as opposed to 5-foot on the Classic. You're going to have 9-foot on center for post spacing as opposed to 10-foot. I mentioned 6-inch, 4,000 PSI. The concrete is also microfiber reinforced with control joints. So that's going to help prevent unwanted cracking and make it even that much more sturdy. You're going to have concrete under every post as in the Classic, but the Elite, you're going to have post protectors included. Those post protectors are going to prolong the life of that post. They say up to 499 years, squiggly line. That means about. So we'll say 500 years, you guys. That's generational protection for your post right there. Now, full roof and wall insulation is protected or included. You're going to have continuous ridge vent system as well. Seamless gutter with gutter guards. That's those upside down brushes I talk about that help keep debris out the gutters. You're also going to have a 145-mile-an-hour wind rating on your building with a 10-year workmanship warranty because we're just that confident. And that's the Elite building. These are both Malletts, but this is our top tier building. So keep that in mind and consider this as your next building because it'll be the only building you'll ever need. Now, that's it from me today. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Darrell with a good reason for permit red tape. I'm excited for this one, you guys. There's no telling what's about to happen. Mr. Darrell, all you.
Hey, I'm Darrell, the engineer here at Mallett, and it's winter time all of a sudden. The summer is gone, it's raining and cold, and so that's good. It's supposed to be like that in December. So I have a joke that's so bad, and I realize my jokes are bad. I don't know how they got to be so bad. I guess it's because I'm old, but I feel like a lot of these jokes are old, so that they've been bad the whole time. But so I have to. This joke is so bad, I have to tell you what a word means so that you'll get it. So I don't know if you've ever heard the term matriculation. Matriculation has to do with education. It's the process of education. So Justin Wilson, who was the famous Cajun comedian, which I don't know in Cajun land if Justin is liked or not. But I didn't. When I grew up when I was a little boy, my grandpa used to play Justin Wilson albums on Saturday night, and I would sit there in the little living room besides the huge stereo, like half as big as this desk, and listen to Justin Wilson. And Justin Wilson said that Boudreaux and Thibodeau were talking, as they always were, and he said, "I can't believe what's happening at LSU." And the other one said, "What's going on?" He said, "Well, at LSU, they allow the boys and the girls to use the same curriculum, and they allow them to matriculate together." So that's that joke. So moving on, a good reason for red tape. Now, I don't like red tape. I'm just that kind of guy. I mean, there's different kinds of engineers. Some engineers just thrive on red tape. I really don't like red tape. I like to see things get built. But it's interesting to me. It's very interesting. It's not only interesting to me, but it's important to me to realize how complicated things have gotten in the last few years. Every permit department that I deal with has added rules. Y'all talked about Ascension Parish, I think, last week a little bit. And Ascension Parish has a no net fill ordinance, which means every bucket of dirt you bring into a property, you have to take a bucket of dirt out. So you build an anthill and you build a moat. And we have the same thing in St. Tammany Parish, where I do a lot of work. And all these things have happened. And so rather than just being like a guy that says, "Well, I'm just going to do it the way I always did it," that doesn't work, because you won't get your permit. I won't get your permit for you if I don't follow the rules. I mean, I have to follow the rules, because they mark up what I turn in like I'm a fourth grader, and they're like the teacher with the red pen, and I make an F if I don't follow the rules. So, but what has happened? What has caused all this? And that's what I want to talk about. So, this is a little chart that shows the storms that we've had in Louisiana in the 2000s. So, 2005 was Katrina, 2005 was Rita. 2008 was Gustav, 2012 was Isaac, 2020 was Laura, 2020 Delta, same place, y'all know all about that. 2020 Zeta, and 2021 Ida. And these storms, particularly Katrina and Rita and Laura and Delta and Ida, they were pretty strong storms, and they went right over a densely populated area. And so that happened. And then, so that's the hurricanes. So we've experienced at least 4 hurricanes, or there was 6 hurricanes since the 2000s that went right over densely populated areas that had a huge impact on people's insurance. And so then we've also had some amazing floods. In March of 2016, we had a flood event that caused rain, it says a torrential rain event during the first full week of March 2016, featuring over 2 feet of record March rain in the south, unleashed major river flooding, rising to historic levels in some areas. And so record flooding occurred along a sizable stretch of the Sabine River along the Texas-Louisiana border due to record releases from Toledo Bend Reservoir, first put in service in 1966. And so there's a photo of the dam structure at Toledo Bend. And so this article goes on to list all of these different places where they had record crest. And it stretches from one end of the state to the other. Lake Bistineau, Louisiana, that's way up north. Bogachita near Bush, that's over on the Mississippi Louisiana border. Bogfly River in Covington, that's over toward the east. Then it goes on, Sabine River, like I said, that's obviously on the western border. And so this was a huge event. Even Amite River at Bayou Manchac in Louisiana, Amite River at Port Vincent, and it goes on and on. So this was a huge event in March of 2016 that affected major parts of the state. It was a rain event that, well, I know particularly, I remember speaking to someone in Hammond. They told me that there was an old bridge with a mark on it that said this is the highest the water ever got. Okay, it was just a mark. Everybody knew the mark. The water went over the mark. I mean, and the mark had been there 100 years. And so it was just a tremendous rainstorm. So now that has an effect on the flood insurance. So we've got these big storms that have effect on the wind insurance, and now we've got flooding that has effect on the flood insurance. And so that was in March of 2016. And then in August of 2016, we had another event where, and I gave you this slide. This is part of a report that somebody wrote about the August 2016 event. And I want you to notice, see all these squiggly lines? Those are rivers and streams. Why does Louisiana have so much trouble with flooding? Well, because if you live in Louisiana, you likely live pretty close to a river or a stream, or a bayou, or whatever you want to call it, or creek, whatever, branch. And so, almost all the flooding that ever occurs because a creek or a branch or a bayou or a river that's close enough to your house, it rises, and that's when flooding occurs. And so this is just an amazing picture to look at that. You know, we complain in Louisiana about our roads, and but one reason that we have the roads that we have, if you have negative opinions about the roads, is because it's very, very expensive to build a road. Why is it so expensive? Because there's all the time you're crossing rivers, you're crossing streams, you're crossing swamps. So anyway, but this event in August of 2016, we have total precipitation from August the 11th to August the 14th. And this red is 21 to 31 inches. So in 4 days, it rained 31 inches in these areas of red. And once again, this was a storm that affected Lafayette, affected Baton Rouge, and even over into Hammond and Covington had massive flooding. And I think in this event, it says, let's see, just read the abstract real quick. Heavy rainfall occurred across Louisiana and southwestern Mississippi in August 2016 as a result of a slow-moving area of low pressure. And then it says over 31 inches of rain was reported in the city of Watson, 20 miles northeast of Baton Rouge. And then it goes on to tell the event, and it gives these maps. And so the one that that I was interested in was the flooding that occurred in Ascension Parish. Because what happened, let's see, one of these slides, okay. Yeah, I think it's, yeah, this one. See this right here, this was Lake Maurepas. And this yellow is the inundated area. And what happened was all that flooding that happened in Baton Rouge, all that water came down toward Ascension Parish, and then its ultimate goal was to get to Lake Maurepas, and there was literally just a little bitty stream to get there. And so water was elevated. People's homes were flooded for days over there because of this. So that was in August of 2016. Then the next year, August 2017, we had Hurricane Harvey. Now, Hurricane Harvey affected the Houston area all the way over into the Lake Charles area, where I was just looking at it before we went online, and in Port Neches and Nederland, it rained 60 inches, 5 feet, in a period of several days, like 5 days, 4 or 5 days, which is just an amazing amount of water. So you put all this together, and you've got 2005, 2012, 2020, 2021, 2016, 2017. You've got all these massive storms that are of historical nature. And then you have the permit department. Not only do you have the local permit department, but you have FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Group, that handles flood insurance. Now, y'all know that the flood insurance, when you go buy flood insurance, you don't go to it. You may go through an insurance carrier, but you're actually buying your flood insurance policy from the federal government. So what happens is the federal government gets involved in the base flood elevation of structures. And they make sure that the local municipalities follow the guidelines. And then on the wind side, you have insurance companies going bankrupt left and right. You have insurance companies leaving states because they don't want to cover the wind anymore. And so then the states get involved, and you see that in Louisiana where states do things. That's why they have this fortified roof program. So all of this put together results in new laws, new regulations being that you're required to follow in the elevation of your structure, or putting flood vents in your structure, or making sure that your plans are stamped. When I do provide the Texas windstorm certification, I have to check a box on the computer that says that, this structure was built according to withstand the wind loads of ASC 7. And what brought that about? Well, the Texas windstorm requirements are from the Texas Insurance Agency, TWIA, Texas Windstorm Insurance Association. And so you see how this is all together. So, is it hard to build? Relatively, yes, it is. It's a complex process where we live. And why is it such a complex process? Well, it's really nobody's fault because the permit departments are just trying to deal with these historic natural disasters, if you really want to know the truth about them. And that's what we have to deal with. Luckily, here at Mallett, you have an old guy with gray hair who's been doing this stuff a long time and who understands all these new rules and understands what you have to do to get a building permit. And that's where I come in to help. Okay, well, that's the talk for today, and we'll see you next week.